never seen a movie like this.
The stunts in the Fast Saga get crazier and riskier with every film. But however insane they are, the crew does their best to keep things practical. Turns out they use as little CGI as possible to make the scenes look more realistic. But how exactly do they do it? Well, by putting an unbelievable amount of work and dedication into all the car chases and fights. You ready to see how it all works out on the set?
Fasten your seatbelts.
Craziest car chases. Whether you're a fan of the franchise or not, you have to respect the talent of the crew. Every day on the set, they make the impossible things possible by using practical effects, even in the wildest scenes. For example, the sequence where the bomb rolls through the bus on the street had little to no CGI, and as with most of the stunts, they have to do it in one shot. So it definitely requires a lot of preparation. And they also have to film the scene in parts, so it takes a lot more time.
So it'll start back here.
All right, here we go then, guys. Let's stand by to shoot those, please.
A talent here. People crossing the street here see it blow through. They don't even know it's happening. And all of a sudden, boom.
No one dares to do such things except the Fast Saga.
3, 2, 1, action!
And that's how it's done. Here it is from the other side. You probably assumed that the fire on the bomb was added in post-production. After all, they wouldn't let an actual fireball roll across the streets of Rome, right? Well, turns out that they did for a while. Oh, and those people running around were also actually there. It's not the first time the Fast Saga crew has done something like this. All this insanity was in the series from the very beginning. Even in the first film, 95% of the car races were real. And let's recall one of the most memorable moments from Too Fast, Too Furious. When Brian and Roman crashed their car onto a boat, it was a bit of both CGI and practical effects. The team behind this jaw-dropping stunt spent a whopping 3 months planning out the scene meticulously. They started by sketching out the entire sequence on paper and then created it digitally.
It went to a computer-generated drawing, which showed us all the details we needed to know.
And it turns out that crashing a car onto a boat isn't as far-fetched as you might think.
We did what's called a cable-off type of a gag, where we towed the car into the ramp to get the speed we needed.
To film the collision, they tied the car to a special rig and launched it full speed ahead into a boat loaded with explosives. Talk about high-stakes action! Of course, there were dummies of the actors inside the car while Brian and Roman were filmed on the green screen. That's when CGI came in to tie it all together. But that was child's play compared to what they did later. In Fast 5, they had a chase scene with an actual bank vault, and it was almost entirely practical effects. The crew used several vaults for different parts of the scene. This short sequence had a fake one, and they used 2 actual vaults that weighed nearly 9,000 pounds each. The crew filmed the whole thing on a real street with each crash carefully planned. For example, it took about a week to prepare just the drivers for this part of the scene.
It was a dance between 2 drivers that we had to learn. We were in a parking lot for probably, a week doing it until we finally figured it out.
But then, the saga went further. In the 6th film, they had a real 60-ton tank roaming the streets. Well, actually, 2 of them. And they weren't just ordinary tanks, because the stunts team managed to almost double their speed limit. The 7th part raised the stakes even higher. Literally. Remember this incredible scene with a car jumping off an airplane? You guessed correctly. They actually did it! The biggest challenge was landing in the right spot to avoid hurting people on the ground. It was also a big risk for the cameramen, who also jumped to film it all. 3 of them were flying with parachutes and helmet cameras around the falling car. They had to maneuver around it in midair and capture everything. To back them up, there was a helicopter pilot who also filmed the scene and watched that everyone was safe. Then, in the 9th film of the saga, there was a car chase that involved magnetized cars. The crew made an SUV attached to Letty's car and then flip, also without CGI. To make it work, the stunts team removed the trunk and replaced it with a steel cage so that the SUV stuck on it. To make it look like the huge vehicle was sucked into the car like a magnet, they also had a ramp behind it that was removed in post-production. The SUV was held by cables, and right at the moment it had to flip, they yanked it backwards. Do you need more proof that the Fast Saga cast and crew are crazy? Yeah, didn't think so. So, once again, lots of tests, lots of preparation, lots of work. And above all else, they had to make sure that everyone was safe the whole time. Quite often, it took them months to prepare and film a scene that could be done with CGI like 10 times quicker. That's what we call dedication. And the following two ladies showed it as well. The Fight Royale. Most fans would say that the fight between Letty and Cipher was their favorite scene from Fast X.
This is a fight that the audience has been waiting for since 2017, and wow, does it deliver.
Both of the actresses were thrilled to find out that they were going to film it. Here's the first thing Charlize thought when she read the script for the scene.
I can't wait to see Letty fighting. I was like, oh, that's me. She's kicking my ass. This is amazing.
Michelle was just as excited as her co-star.
We have a nice one-on-one battle. She's a tough cookie, so we'll see what happens.
Both actresses had enough background in fighting due to their recent roles. Michelle in Dungeons & Dragons and Charlize in Old Guard too. So they only needed a few days to prepare, but they used them to the fullest.
We just utilized as much time as we could to kind of fight with each other because it was important to us to not fight doubles. You really hope you get a partner that's like up for that, and boy, did I get a partner that was up.
The movie's director, Louis Leterrier, also wanted to up their game with this scene.
We had to take this fight and make it the best fight that ever was in the Fast and Furious franchise.
He was pretty excited about it.
Sometimes I was like, they're really going to fight.
Funnily enough, when they began filming, Charlize was terrified of Michelle.
There were moments where she'd come at me and I got scared. I was like...
And here's why.
The way Michelle Rodriguez sells action with her body, with her eyes, you just believe it. She's so badass.
Oh, yeah, she is. And the movie's stunt coordinator has an interesting thing to say about this side of hers.
She's like a crazy cat, you know, she go in all the direction.
But in fact, Charlize is actually just as badass as Michelle.
When you see Charlize Theron walk towards you and look you straight into your eyes, it makes you feel very small.
She's a monster to battle with, I gotta say.
It's even funnier that the most frightened person on the set was the director.
They scare me even more. I mean, the two of them together, when they do this and I'm like, cut, and then they turn to me, I'm like, okay, ladies, easy.
Yeah, it's hard to contain the energy these two have inside. And now let's talk about another character who's also pretty crazy. Not only in the movie, but also on the set. When in Rome. Do you know who was probably the happiest person on the set of Fast X? It was the Dante actor, Jason Momoa. Not only did he join the badass franchise he loves, but he also got to ride a motorcycle in the craziest manner possible. And not just anywhere in the world, but in Rome, the actor's favorite city where he's always wanted to film.
Action!
The guy was having the time of his life. And it was actually him doing most of the stunts on the motorcycle. Of course, it wasn't an easy job.
It was the most nerve-wracking thing I've done because there's a lot of stuff to take in. You can't stop that quick. You don't have that much of a runway. You've got to pull something off very quickly.
What Jason did was so crazy that one of the producers thought that it was the actor's stunt double when he was watching the scenes. The guy was shocked to find out that it was Momoa himself. The stunts Jason and the others had to perform were pretty dangerous, not just for themselves, but for everyone around too. So you might be wondering how they managed to do everything on the actual streets of Rome. The director has an answer to that.
Rome was so welcoming. We were authorized to do stuff that had never been done before. And we're happy that we didn't break Rome.
amazing. Apart from doing his stunts, Jason took an active part in creating Dante's motorcycle.
It's a bike that's perfect for him. You know, it fits his character, and everything that you see modified, he was part of.
The actor was excited about it.
Just being able to strip all the stuff off of it, so like really streamline it.
And everyone was happy with the final result of their joint efforts.
You know, it kind of has, you know, a warrior feel to it, you know, ready for battle.
So, despite all the risk and hard work involved, Jason was happy. Because what he did on the set of Fast X was an unforgettable experience.
You're ripping past the Vatican, there's like kids screaming, I'm like, what am I doing right now? This is crazy. I'll remember it forever.
That's for sure. Due to the dedication of all the Fast X cast and crew, the franchise remains as entertaining and massive as ever. And that's one of the things people love about it. Share in the comments below what you think about the crazy stunts from the latest film of the saga. And if you want to learn more about the franchise, check out our other videos.